I wasn't planning on starting the podcast, but now I'm in the mood. I don't know why I started humming it. Hello, friends.
It's a bop, that's why.
It is a bop.
Yeah,
Marley did a great job. Mr. Rosner, you get another shout out just for creating a hit. Not a one-hit wonder. A one-try wonder. He nailed it out of the gate is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, didn't need to redo it. You just had the correct one immediately.
That's it. Hello, JJ.
Oh, hello.
Michael.
Hey, friends.
We're here for 239 times. And this one is the third kind of regular wrap-up of the end of the year episode. We're going to do some stuff today, a little preview. But yeah, we're going to talk that Mandalorian thing everyone was talking about. We're also going to do our thing of the year. I could actually try and add the echo effect this time around. I'm getting pretty good at this Resolve program.
Okay.
I'm writing it down. Echo. All right.
It's going to sound real cool on top of your
explanation of echo. Maybe I just echo the whole explanation. Oh boy, I just had an amazing meal, JJ, and I got to tell you about it because you have become a fan of my fandom of the free advertisement Cali Dumpling Delivery Service.
Oh, yes. Yes, we're big fans over here.
So I got them pork and shrimp Hong Kong wontons, and I made a soup out of them.
Okay. Yeah,
it's wonderful.
I want to make
the pork.
We have not made the wonton soup yet. I think we're doing that later this week.
So. Okay. The pork juices create such a nice broth. It's just very warming at this cooling time of year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's the time of year for wonton soup for sure. For sure. Yeah. That's my food thing. I don't know. I just had to mention it because they make really good dumplings. It's almost unfair. But I'm probably not the only one that's made good food.
Yeah. We, in this house and during the time of quarantine, sometimes you turn to, shows like Netflix. They have, they got a lot of different cooking shows and other kinds of like documentary type shows where they go through making all kinds of food. We got hooked on one called The Taco Chronicles. Did you guys watch this?
No, but I have heard about this one.
So The Taco Chronicles is I don't know the director or the like creative lead or anything behind it. I wish I did. But it's a documentary series and there's 2 seasons of it, and I think there's like 8 episodes each season. They're like 30-40 minutes ish. And each episode is a type of taco.
It's like the first bazillion types of tacos, though.
Yes, man. And all of these shows, it's like the first one is pastor. The entire episode is about how to make like the greatest pastor tacos.
Oh, it's recipes and stuff. It's not just like history of the pastor taco.
I mean, it touches very briefly on the history, but then they go interview people who make it. They go to like this restaurant and like they talk to like the master chefs who make it in the traditional style and like what it means to be a pastor taco and like why you would have pastor over every other kind of taco and all this sort of stuff. And then they just go on. There's all these different ones: barbacoa, carne asada, like canasta tacos, which is a type I'd never even heard of. And it goes on and on. And then one of the ones, I think in the second season it comes around, is Cochinita Pibil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to correct it. It sounded right.
I could be wrong. The series is all spoken mostly in Spanish, so we're watching subtitles.
Okay, cool.
It takes place, mostly in Mexico, but there are parts in the southern U.S. and stuff where they, go to Texas and places in California and stuff. And those parts are in English, and so then are not subtitled. It's very interesting that way, where it has both, right? And there are some of the speakers who switch back and forth in the middle of their sentences because of who they're talking to or whatever. So anyway, this Cochinita Pibil, I guess, is from the Yucatan Peninsula. It's like a Sonoran recipe, I guess.
Oh, Sonoran taco. Just the tortilla. These are the Sonoran tacos, man. These are the tortillas I get shipped from Kansas. Don't
So
judge me.
I don't know anything. Judged. I don't know
No.
anything about the tortilla. But the thing about these tacos is there's this traditional ingredient called achiote paste, and you can buy this stuff. I don't know where you can buy it
So
around us. We
so
got some
Michael,
from the internet.
you're a fellow food magaziner, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed, but this achiote paste has been in every food magazine over like the last year. Everyone is using it in every
It's
recipe
gotten real popular.
everywhere.
So I don't know if it's having some kind of renaissance or whatever.
Yeah.
This taco series came out a couple years ago, I think, and we're just now discovering it. It was recommended to us by some other people.
Cool.
And it's like a clay consistency almost. It's meant to be mixed with other stuff, olive oil or vinegar or something to like soften it up, and then you rub your meat down with it.
Sure.
And cochinita pibil use a pork butt roast. That's the name of the cut. I didn't use a swear there. That's just the name of the cut. It's like a shoulder type rear end cut of a pig.
Sure.
And you rub it down with this achiote paste, and then you put it in a marinade made of orange juice, some vinegar, some spices, coriander and garlic, and I forget what else, and one diced habanero pepper. You stick that whole thing in a marinade for about a day, and the traditional way, the way they make it in the show, is they wrap it in banana leaves, and they let it marinate inside the wrapped leaves, and then they take it to a peeb, which is a earth oven, and they bury it there and cook it for a day also. So like an underground, if you ever had like lechon or any of those like underground cooked whole pigs, this is the same idea, but just for this one specific cut wrapped in these banana leaves. And the restaurant that makes it, or this traditional food place that makes it, buries like 500 packets of leaves at once in this giant earth oven, right?
Right, yeah.
Obviously we don't have banana leaves.
Did you actually find the paste, by the way?
Yes, yeah, we bought it online.
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, the Mexican market.
It was not.
might have
It totally might have, right?
Yeah.
We weren't interested in going out to search 50
as you probably like the dollar amount difference is probably very much worth not going out, right? Like
it was not
just order it on Amazon and move on.
Yeah, it was not expensive. And it's made about like a 4-pound roast, but there's a bone in it, so it's hard to say, like a big shoulder bone kind of thing. So I don't know how
cool
to explain how big it is, how much food there was. And yeah, you just throw it in the slow cooker for all day. Wow, this is really good. And then you just shred it up. After it's done cooking, you're ready to eat it, and just take a big old juicy plop of that right on your warm tortilla there, and maybe you could add some like pickled onions. Maybe you could put some like queso fresco on there, but it really doesn't need much. It has a subtle spiciness with the habanero in there. It is not like outrageously spicy. It is a little spicy, but not outrageous. And it is a good flavor. The meat is super juicy, obviously having just been marinated for an entire day and a half or whatever. Awesome. I love these cochinita pibil tacos.
That sounds like one of those tacos that screams for like the one ingredient side, like the pickled onion only sort of thing.
Yeah, I did. Like the queso fresco and pickled onions, and I thought it was perfect. But yeah, you could totally get away with just one or the other of them, and it would also be wonderful, I'm sure.
Nice.
So we've just been eating that for the last 2 days because we made so much.
I wonder if you could turn it into some sort of guisado too. If you
certainly.
had so much leftovers, you could maybe like stew it with some peppers and some other stuff.
Could easily do it. The broth in the slow cooker or whatever is almost a guisado right there for you.
Really sure, yeah. I mean, slow cooker.
Nothing.
Yeah. Cool.
So, JJ, when you hear someone breaking into your fridge later tonight, don't worry. that's the only thing that's going to be missing.
All good.
That's awesome. Nice. Well, Michael, I mean, did you food out or were you busy doing something else?
So we got a little bit of food as part of what we were doing. So holidays in the COVID are a little bit different this year,
No
but
kidding.
we had gotten ourselves tickets to go to the OC Night of Lights. I don't know if you guys are familiar with
I don't know
this.
what that is.
It is a so you know how neighborhoods will do all the houses decorated, and you can sort of drive through the neighborhood and see all the different light displays that people have put on at their houses.
Oh yeah, okay.
Sure.
So the county did that at the OC Fairground. They
Oh,
created this giant, elaborate drive-through light display.
wonderful.
And so we got tickets last Wednesday, and had a time slot of like 8 o'clock, and went and did the whole drive-through, and it was great. There was it probably took an hour, a little over an hour all told, to get through the whole thing. And they have two different stations that they're broadcasting on over basically shortwave. So you can tune into the two FM stations and basically listen to Christmas music the whole time that you're driving through, uninterrupted Christmas music.
Nice.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Yeah, and then they have a couple of like 4 or 5 of the fair food stalls set up at the beginning, so you can detour and get food if you want to just like munch on. We just got a bucket of popcorn, just to munch on while we were driving through.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was a really good way to do a properly socially distanced
What is
holiday activity.
what does the fairground look like right now? Just considering they don't have anything going on. You know, that place is usually packed with something going on every time of the year.
Yeah, I think it's just empty other than all the area that's laid out in the parking lots for this drive-through.
Wow.
I know the San Diego Fairground was turned into a COVID testing site for part of it, but it's only like one building essentially, and there are obviously many more than one building
Sure.
at all of these places.
Yeah, what a deserted weirdness, right? Like so strange at the end of the year to still see stuff like this. But hey, you know what? You were safe, and it sounds really enjoyable to go see some lights without having to worry about yourself. You know?
Yeah, we had a really good time.
Yeah, it's important to, I think, especially right now as we come to the end of one year and begin another, just, find a way to enjoy yourself without putting yourself in harm's way, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that leads us to our things of the year, right? We can give you some things that we flat out enjoyed and maybe you could spend some time doing. Last year, I looked it up, by the way. Last year, you two picked the same game. Can you remember what it was?
Did we both pick Bloodstain?
Yes.
Yeah, it would have to have been.
Yeah. And I picked Disney Plus.
Yeah. And we did a things of the decade last year too, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And that was I picked monetization. JJ picked something along the same lines.
I picked the MCU.
And you picked the MCU, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was it's interesting. Anyway, who would like to go first? Rock, paper, scissors. If not, I'll go.
I can go.
Okay. I have a bad feeling we picked the same thing.
Who can say? I doubt you've picked some of these things.
Oh wow, you got more than one. Good for you.
No, it's a collection. It's a collection of things.
Oh, I picked a collection also.
My list would not have been possible. My collection would not have been possible without this becoming the year that it turned into.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. This is a way to start this because you're yes, this is nice.
It is a list. It is a list of. It is my thing of this year is the frankly ridiculous amount of RPGs I was able to complete this year.
You did. I would like to point that out.
I know. Yes. Here I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I went through my Steam purchase history and looked at everything I bought this year, and then include other games I know I paid for and played this year. Some of these are very long games. I played Legend of Heroes: Trails from Zero. I then played the sequel to that game, The Legend of Heroes Trails from Azure, which are the Zero and Ow portions, the Crossbell games from that series. I then also played Cold Steel 3 from that series. Later in the year, then I played Persona 4 Golden all the way through. And I almost 100%ed that game. I got very close, I think.
Wow.
I've played 99% of Final Fantasy 12. I don't think I'm going to finish doing all these hunts. It's not looking good. I basically just have the final boss to do, and I haven't done that yet. And then I'm partway through Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is also an RPG. That's a frankly ridiculous amount. Sorry, and I'm also playing on my Switch Xenoblade Chronicles for like the third time, and I'm like most of the way through that game.
It's amazing.
That's a lot of RPGs, man. And
no
like,
kidding.
If I had not been at home so much due to the inability to leave, but even beyond that, like the working from home changed by like the amount of time that I have available to do stuff because I don't have to commute anymore.
Right? Oh, good point.
It makes a big difference.
And even though my commute wasn't that bad before, or I didn't feel that it was that bad, there still is time. I noticed this in that like I'm way behind on a lot of podcasts.
Oh,
yet I am clearly way ahead on a ton of video games.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I've been able to split my podcast listening because I still have enough housework and stuff that I end up doing.
Yeah, and I totally do it then too.
Yeah,
but like I had several multi-hour podcasts that I would listen to per week.
Yep,
and I'm just I can maybe keep up with one or two of those. I can't do 3 or 4 like I used to be able to.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I've dropped 3/4 of my podcast, unfortunately, as we sit here on a podcast.
Which I'm sure you, the wonderful viewer, did not.
I think a lot of people actually have come up with more time to do podcasts. A lot of people listen to them while they're working. A lot.
Yeah, and that's like totally. I prefer to have random streams and stuff on.
And if you're at home,
or in a mostly empty office,
no one's gonna come up and bug you if you got your headphones in.
Yeah, totally.
So I think overall, you know what? I can tell you personally, our listenership is up, way up, and has gone up every month of this ridiculousness. So thank you to everyone that is listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
We enjoy having you here, and we enjoy spending time with you while you're working at home or wherever you happen to be. But yeah, it's been hard. It's been hard to do that kind of stuff with kids around, especially. Like if I was just me at home, I would be, listening to podcasts all the time. But
and especially like I can listen to some things, but then during work, but then some things I want to listen to, and I can't listen. It is much easier to listen when I'm driving a car because the motions are so much more automatic.
Yeah.
Than like while I'm trying to work or whatever, where sometimes I have to focus more.
Speaking of podcasts, just so you know, Carbon Scoring, by the way, yes, 2 days ago, dropped 4 hours of audio on you. If you have any interest in that, to the listener.
I think you, the listener, are in for a treat. There's going to be a lot of Mandalorian on this feed.
some deep dive.
Yep. Well, those are cool. So your thing is RPGs of the year.
Yeah, I played a lot of RPGs, and not even close to any of these all came out this year. I mean, Final Fantasy 12 is old. All of the Cold Steel game came out this year, early this year, but the other ones are all old games. So, but it's just great games,
I think you're a genius because it's the JRPG collection.
There you go.
JRPG collection.
I love it.
We got to tweet the list. You got to send it to me so I could tweet the list and make that pun on the internet. Nice. I'll go next.
Okay.
My thing of the year would be Xbox Game Pass for PC.
Mm-hmm.
I have enjoyed playing a smattering of games through that collection. Trying out lots of games I wouldn't be able to try out, trying out and playing through games I would never pay for and buy, that hopefully the developers of those games got paid for by Microsoft by me playing them, right? There's been 3 or 4 games in there that they've been short in the 2-3 hour games, and I've tried them and played them and liked them. I've played many an hour with the No More Zeds crew. Ken is in that crew. Kit as well, by the way. I'm just gonna shout out Dixon. If he doesn't want his name on this podcast, he got a shout out. Many hours of that through Game Pass on State of Decay. Game Pass is a really good service, but the standout from that service is something I paid for, and I'm glad I paid for it because I always will have access to it forever until Steam decides to take it away. I look fondly back at this year at multiple weeks of tough days and saying, oh, yes, the new Halo is dropping today.
Nice.
I considered this.
I wondered when you said collection whether this would be what we both ended up talking about. We didn't play that much multiplayer of it. I mean, we did a little bit. And I played, I think you played more than I did, especially when the first two games had just come out, 1 and 2.
Yeah. I really liked Halo 2 multiplayer. I played
Yeah.
a lot of it, and I remember playing a lot of it when I was a young lad, and this was like a lot of nostalgia for me getting back into that and realizing I'm old and bad now.
Don't worry. My experience in trying out Warzone has not gone any better. It's been fun to just sit back and play through the stories of those games with you, JJ, and Michael, to have you watch sometimes and participate in hearing about the ridiculousness of how broken some of those were, how we lost progress on some of them, how we got screwed by the game multiple times.
God.
Multiple times. And yet every single time we went back for more. I don't know why, but we did it. And like really funny moments of just go, okay, JJ, tonight we're gonna go in with the rocket launcher in this level, and we're gonna trade off who shoots these flying things as many times as possible to get an achievement. And you're like, this is what you did when you were like 19 in a dorm, not when you're 30 plus at home, unless there's a pandemic and you have nothing better to do.
Right.
And that game really could not have come to the PC at a better year for needing to play something that nostalgia driven, that endorphin raising in terms of remembering good times and playing through good times again, right? So the MCC ends up being my thing of the year, even though, by the way, it is available on Game Pass.
Yeah, I'm sure, right? And finally, just recently, I believe, they have enabled the cross every server thing. So we would only now have been able to start playing with each other, if on Game Pass and Steam and Xbox and every possible place finally. Which will probably do a lot for that game going forward in like making sure there are actually non-zero numbers of people playing Halo 1 multiplayer or whatever the most popular one is.
They've got a bit of a tough time ahead. Once Infinite hits, I think they'll have populated games for Halo 2 and 3 maybe. But like Halo 4 Spartan missions and stuff like that, the multiplayer ones.
Well, they have at least in one entire year from now until then, since Halo Infinite is now slated for fall 21.
And I think the best part about that is that there's still stuff for us to do in there. They're going to have 6 more seasons of content for that game that in theory will never actually go away. You can always achieve stuff in seasons later, get season points later. So
I think that's my favorite thing about some of the old seasons is that even unlike a lot of the battle passes in other games that move on, their stuff is still available. Like, you can't go back and do the challenges from last week, but there'll be new challenges next week.
Yeah.
And you could just pick those up, but you can apply them to your old season if you want to, because you really liked, this one particular Warthog skin or whatever.
That's a nice touch.
There's tiny things we'll miss from not being competitive gamers. Like there are weapon skins. If you get to the top rank of this thing for each season, I'm not going to ever be that person. And so like the ability to say 98% of the content is still open to me. And even if, and 100% of the content is open to me if I want to spend the time and ability to get better at a game like that.
Right.
it's nice that they took that tack and they said, the golden pistol maybe is not available to you because you are not the one of the top 100 players or whatever, but the rest of it is there.
But like, if you really want that season 4 skin of Buck there,
I did it.
without his helmet or whatever,
I did
whichever
it.
one it is, you can do it, right?
I
And
did.
it will be available to you
Uh-huh.
or me. I could do it, right?
Yeah. I did.
But also, I don't have to do it.
But so you missed out on the seasonal Buck with bug splatter. And it's like, well, it's the same thing. He's just got green on the front of him. But I went on to the server, the Halo server, and found a group, and that was cool too. Like needing to do a multiplayer thing and looking for a server group, finding a server group, not having any chuds in it. It was a good everything about MCC this year has been a good experience in a year where it really needed to be, even the tough bad stuff was laughable, right? Like when we have kept reloading that level,
that one freaking cutscene crashed our game every time.
It became funny. It was funny. We're
just going into the cutscene. Yeah. It's like jam on the skip button as hard as you can, quick. It's like sitting there pounding the controller.
Yep, pretty good. The MCC. There you go. Michael, you're up.
Yeah, so I had to put together a short list because there were surprisingly a lot of things on it that I considered. I really dove into using my Switch this year.
Good for you.
So I considered doing something with that. There were a lot of other good non-Switch games. Ori Will of the Wisps, Baba Is You, Final Fantasy Zodiac Age. There were some good ones to watch. Pump It Up made my short list.
Oh man,
we had so much fun watching Happy Feets.
Oh, he's so good.
Shout out to Happy Feets.
Yeah.
On those, because those were runs that would only happen this year.
Sure. Yeah.
But in the end, I went with something that was a little bit different. I went with the thing that probably more than anything else found me every time I would engage with a new piece of it, like immediately wanting the next piece. And so my thing of the year was 20,020.
Oh,
so
I have yet to catch up on this, and I need to.
It was just, and JJ, you can attest to this feeling too, but you'd read through the latest piece and watch the video, and you would just crave that next part.
Yeah, it's such a great, well-told story, right?
Yeah. And something that felt very new and very different in a year that was full of so much sameness.
Yeah. And even if it's a sequel, quote unquote, to 17,776, it is not that. It's its own thing in so much of a way that really knowing anything from that first piece is not actually that important.
Yeah.
So yeah, what a good pick, man. I love the stuff that John Boyce and Kofi produce over on SB Nation, and they have their YouTube videos are just great. Like, I want to watch a 5-minute video of something ridiculous. They have that. They also have I want to watch 100 hours of why the Seattle Mariners are ridiculous. They have both, right? It's a great. They're so good.
Yeah. So great work there. Can't wait for 20,021.
I was going to say, are you like, don't you want to know what happens to Manny and what's his name? The other guy? Manny and Nick?
Yes,
and Manny?
Nick and Manny.
Do they get back? That's what I want to know. God, cliffhangers, man.
Yeah. That's great. 17,776.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Still gets shout outs from people like Tim Rogers actually was shouting him out the other night on his stream for that. And it's like, okay, wow. That's still out there. So
it is an all-time great piece of sports writing, I think.
I think so too. Yeah.
It has nothing to do really with actual sports that occur now, but the style is like, I don't know how to describe it other than sports writing. Like, it You know, like those columns, like those newspaper columns and stuff that you used to read. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. Like of like, there's like some 70-year-old guy who's been following football his entire career or whatever, and he would just have a column once a week or whatever. It felt like that, except this guy, it was just talking about everything in this guy's life for 20 years for 500 pages. That's like what these things. He just goes on tangents and talks about weird pieces of history and like weird things related to the thing, but not really. But then they kind of have a parallel, and like it's just, I don't know how to explain it. People should go read that stuff, but both of them are great and they're free on the internet. So
Yeah, and then read the. I just recently went back and read the blog post on the. They did a post about making it, and then fielded a few questions from readers, and some of the stuff about how they found some of these stories that they weave into it of a tiny little town in the middle of nowhere.
yeah,
Are
I
supremely fascinating.
I should go read that because the research part of these must be just unending. There's so much. It's like, this town in 1912 was like host of a thing, and you're like, how do you know this?
Yeah, and there were questions of like, which way around did you do it? Did you find the stories first and then decide, this is where the story had to take the characters, or were you looking along the routes that are in the story and finding nearby places?
Mm, I'm gonna go read this post. That's extremely up my alley.
That's awesome. I'm surprised in our things of the year. So let's see the recap here. The JJRPG collection, aka finding time to commit to longer things you'd never have time to. The Halo MCC, aka it's okay to be nostalgic when things are tough. And looking ahead. Wow, good job. We did it.
Yeah, how about
2000
that?
2020? How do you
20,020.
20,020. John Boyce's piece, Looking to the Future. We did a great job on those three. Look at yourself now and treat yourself. Look at back, treat yourself. Look to the future, treat yourself. All of them are great. None of us picked The Mandalorian.
I mean, it certainly wasn't better than any of the things we picked. So
I agree with that statement.
Yes.
I mean, it was a perfectly good series. I enjoyed my time watching it. There are episodes I liked more than others.
Yep. I think a lot of
but-
people will have spent the end of this year finally happy because of that show, and I don't want to downplay it, but I think it's funny that none of us picked it.
It's also hard, right? Because it ended 3 days ago.
Yeah.
It's like the impact of it hasn't really sunk in yet.
I think it's only 8 weeks long, right? And especially in the year that has lasted forever, some of these memories are much longer than that and much more lasting. I think about, well, what'd you do in 2020? And I'll think about, what I did at home. And one of those things would be having played a lot of Halo or, catching up on thousands of JRPG hours or reading a beautiful story about the future and space.
I think the Mandalorian has it is good comfort television. Nothing about it is like extremely groundbreaking or reinventing really much, other than maybe bringing Star Wars' reputation up after it was real low.
I think what you're saying in terms of filmmaking, it's
they're not like revolutionizing TV or film. Or
they did
anything
with
like
the
that.
first season, right? With the
Certainly
creation
much
of the
more than this.
volume and the digital architecture, working with Epic to create that stuff will change television. But beyond that, the storytelling and all that, so is the reason it's good is what you're saying is outside of the filmmaking, which is probably accurate. And yeah, restoring the reputation of a franchise is not a small thing to do. Well, spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Spoiler
Yep.
warning again.
Look, we
Watch
really
it
have to
all the
talk
way
about
through.
spoilers.
Watch past the credits.
So the
Yeah, I
end
was
of the
just gonna say,
credits of
watch
the
the end of
last
the credits,
episode.
please. Yeah.
This is your last warning. I've spent a lot of hours talking about it, so you guys are leading this discussion. What did you think?
Is Star Wars propped up only by the idea that there has to be a Skywalker attached to it? Is that really what it comes down to? If there's no Skywalker attached to it, people aren't in. Is that the deal?
Do you believe that statement?
I'm asking. I don't know that I believe it. It felt like
No,
they shoehorned him here, and I don't know that I
Oh,
liked it.
interesting. Okay.
I mean, part of me felt like it was a bit of a choice for the fans, but at the same time, I think we've also done enough. Maybe complaining is the wrong word, but complaining about the deep and deeper pulls into the lore that they have been doing. And so this felt like an easy way to tie up what was always going to be a difficult story thread to tie up in terms of having to remove Grogu from the story
Yep.
without introducing. I mean, it does introduce some questions, but without potentially introducing a whole lot of questions.
I mean, I think, having Grogu go with Luke, right, is the okay, well, Luke is obviously a Jedi. We can't impugn him for that. It must be okay. Like he's the, and we know Luke survives, and so it's not like Grogu is in danger here. But
Until
like
Ben Solo shows up.
right, exactly, right. It's like, oh, was Grogu hiding in the hut the entire time while Rey was there? Is that like the, the implication? We don't know now, right? Is that the thing here? And
Ken has some thoughts about where Grogu is, but they're all non-canon.
okay,
Sure.
well, again, I don't know anything.
No one
outside
knows
of what I've
anything,
seen here.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But I felt that as a person who likes this show as this, for the characters in it, and I've talked a lot about how I like the Western themes and stuff. I don't know that I was super excited for a Jedi to show up and Deus Ex Machina Baby Yoda out of the show. I think it might have been better if Grogu had to accept that no one was coming for him, and he and the Mandalorian had to go off and have adventures. I think that might have been a preferred way to go for me.
I think that comes down to whether or not Grogu's going to become a permanent fixture in the show, right? There, if you left him in after this point, there's no way that you can take him out in the
Yep.
future, right?
this is the
Right.
off ramp.
This was the only chance you're going to have the story go in a different direction and have
Yeah.
it not be the buddy show, the
Have-
Mandalorian and Grogu.
Have either of you watched Tim Rogers' new action button on Last of Us?
That's
No.
its like second to most recent one, but yes, I have watched it.
Okay. This is the same story as Last of Us, kind of, in a way, right? He talks about the protector narrative there, and it fits. And I think I've mentioned it too many times now between all the podcasts, but it fits the theme perfectly because what Michael said is true. This is the last off ramp for Grogu, and so that's where you have to think about the way that and why it's Luke, because if he stays, there has to be a time jump, and he has to get older, and the Mandalorian has to get older, and Grogu has to start participating in the show beyond being a cute baby. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it gets bad. And
Fair.
so the other option is the Mandalorian becomes an anthology series, and we no longer see Din Djarin and Grogu. They go off into the galaxy, and this becomes the Bo-Katan show or the Boba Fett show, right? And so his argument there would be then that the Grogu has to leave. And I think your point is well taken. I think it was JJ's point. It has to be Luke because people know a Skywalker. And so, yeah, sometimes it has to be a Skywalker because then the people that are here for Grogu know why and who he's leaving with. Oh, he left with Luke. Got it. Okay.
I think I know some people in my life that are going to be disappointed that Grogu is not going to be in the show. potentially going
Sure,
forward.
of course.
Yep.
And I think that it is not the writer should do what they think is best for the show and like what stories they want to tell. If that means Grogu has to go, that's their choice, and I have to respect it. I think that I am a little tired of every Star Wars story ending, not just a Star Wars story, but also Star Wars stories starting and ending with Skywalkers. They're not like, why are these people like fated to show up in everything?
I think this one. I don't know that this one did, because it didn't start with a Skywalker, and I feel
he
like
shows up at the end, right?
but it's
why?
not. But it's not the end, right? It's just so the story can go in the next direction, right? Because think of it this way: these episodes are sequentially numbered, right? They didn't start over the numbering at the start at season 2. It's 16 episodes, 1 through 16. So when there's 24 episodes and it's still a through storyline, this won't be an ending. It'll just be an inflection point.
Interestingly, they call that new show The Book of Boba, and these are chapters in the Book of the Mandalorian. Right? So
Yeah.
does season 3 begin a new book for Din? How do they couch that, right?
I mean, who knows, right? Like, do they decide to call the next series 3 of The Mandalorian? Because they're not going to change the name of the show to The Book of the Mandalorian or something, right?
No.
But what if they start series 3 as Book 2, Chapter 1 or something, right?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Book 2, Chapter 1.
But I think I am just tired of seeing the Skywalkers show up all the time, especially in stories that ostensibly did not need to involve them. We had a Jedi earlier in the show, 3 episodes ago.
Let me posit to you that it needed to end with Luke for another reason.
Okay.
It started with Anakin. Everything that has happened to Grogu is because Anakin blew up the temple and ruined his life.
Right. Not wrong. I mean,
so Luke, his son,
has to fix the sins of the
is
father.
fixing the sins of the father by showing up here. And this is borne out apparently by the fact that Grogu and Anakin are the same age.
Oh, I don't think I caught that.
I didn't catch it either. It was told to me.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he promises to protect him the same way that Qui-Gon promises to protect Anakin when he takes him from Din.
Okay. That required a bigger fan than me to notice.
It also did for me as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But it is a cool.
I think I take your
scene.
point. I don't think you're wrong to be like, why did it have to be Luke again? But there was a lot of it that was very cool to see.
Yeah, I don't hate the scene actually. Like, I actually enjoyed that part. The mysterious, like, oh, the Jedi showed up, and like, oh, I didn't know who it was going to be until I saw the green lightsaber. I know enough about Star Wars to know that one.
The green saber and the black glove. That's all you need.
Yeah,
the X-wing.
I
did the same thing. I was like, it could be anybody in an X-wing.
Yeah, a lot of people end up in X-wings. That's not necesserally it.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah,
I
the
saw the
black
cloak,
glove.
and I'm like, and then I saw the black glove, and then I saw the green lightsaber. I'm like, oh, it's Luke. But I didn't dislike the scene. I thought the scene actually worked well. Was thematic with the rest of the show. They gave it enough time. Even if the CG was a little iffy, I don't know. All these digital reconstructed faces always look a little weird to me, anyway. I mean, they would have. There was no way to do it well that people weren't going to throw a fit about, right? So I guess
I think they chose the road that made the most people happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. JJ, is there someone else you would rather have seen as that Jedi?
No, I don't. I don't know enough about Star Wars lore to like guess who else exists as a Jedi that could have showed up.
Wouldn't you rather have seen Grogu continue on and the show take a completely different direction?
I think I would have rather Grogu stayed with the Mandalorian and they do buddy adventures in space.
When does that get old is my question.
I don't know how many seasons of buddy adventures in space can I handle if they shoot them good a lot. Like, how many did we see this season? What, 16 now we've had?
Yeah.
Of even, and with Grogu not necessarily participating in the majority of them in some cases.
Yeah, he's often left somewhere to do something else.
So and who knows? Maybe he will show up from time to time throughout this going forward. I have no idea. I suspect we won't see a lot of CGI Luke going forward, though. I suspect that's too expensive to continue doing.
I just don't. I get the feeling that was an idea of sending a message about Luke and not really about introducing Luke to this. This timeline will, however, be continued. They have said Book of Boba will be the same timeline. Ahsoka will be the same time. Rangers of the Republic will be the same timeline. So this area of the brand new Republic will be explored. So it's not like they're not going to run into Luke again unless they really try hard not to, you know?
I mean, I feel that enough of these people are likely to cross paths with him, right? Like, whether Ahsoka does or not, or, the New Republic Rangers or, any of these other people cross paths with him. He's a big and important person in the galaxy. Chances are non-zero he'll show up in at least some of those shows, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I sit with it and think I'll enjoy what I saw.
Yeah, and again, I want to make it clear my complaint is not with the episode. I enjoyed this episode. I think the storytelling was good. I liked Gideon and
well, you'll get more of that.
Gideon did good at being an evil bad guy, right? There was I like the trick that Gideon pulled, which is a thing that I'm sure some Clone Wars people knew was coming that I never knew about. Oh, you have to win. Haha, you didn't win. I tricked you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like well done as a twist where the bad guy loses but still wins in the end.
Mm-hmm.
The evil dark. I like that they airlocked all the dark troopers, and then I thought as soon as they did that, I was like, can't they fly?
Didn't they flew people inside there?
I remember them flying. Maybe they only fly in atmosphere. They never explained that. That's really weird. And then of course, like clockwork,
alarm bells.
10 minutes later, alarm bells. They're all flying back in. I'm like, okay, I was right. They did fly.
Yeah. It's really cool that they brought them back, and you're just like, the Jedi has to show up here, whoever it is, to save all these people.
Right.
And then they parallel the murderous Darth Vader scene from Rogue One.
Yeah. Just Luke going through and like just destroying those guys with not trying even that hard.
It just gives you an idea of the power structure of the galaxy finally in a way that Star Wars sometimes you forget about, right? Like especially watching the cartoons and you're watching Boba Fett and these other Mandalorians, and you think they're better than people, and then a Jedi walks in and Din couldn't even fight one of them.
Right, yeah. He like barely got away from the one.
Yeah.
And Luke is just like, nah, these guys, whatever, block these shots, chop that guy's head off. Moving on, got places to be.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a fun ending. Whether or not we wanted it to go different ways, I think.
Yeah, I have, with the story, this story, I have to accept as the story that they chose to tell, and I enjoyed this story, even if it was not the one I would have hoped they told.
Right, sure. I think as a Star Wars universe and coming together, there are sometimes, many times, you have to swallow a pill you don't like.
Episodes.
Yeah,
9, episode 2.
Well, and so, like, many times it's the choice, and you just have to live with the choice. And there's times that it's just bad writing, but I don't think this is the case. I think it's the choice, and you just have to say, this is the galaxy. And it doesn't always work the way you want.
This is the way.
Well,
I think
I didn't lead out the podcast before you said it.
I think you're totally right, Andrew, right? Like, this is the story they wanted to tell.
Yeah.
And if it's not the one I wanted to hear, well, that's on me. I need to go make my own TV, I guess.
Yeah.
Not happening. But, it is, I didn't dislike it. I did really enjoy almost every episode, I think.
Yeah.
And this one was not an exception. So,
are you guys in for Crime Lord Boba Fett?
I don't know about this, man.
Yeah, that was it was not what I expected when I heard sit through all the credits.
I did not either. Yeah.
I did like that the same guy who was Jabba's assistant has now gotten fat and is in charge of the crime syndicate.
I
Bib
did
Fortuna.
like that. Bib Fortuna.
Yes.
Slowly transmogrifying into the worm, a la Dune,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Boba Fett comes in and is like, "Nah, let me shoot all these guys." I thought the cut was going to be him dropping him into the Rancor pit.
He stood. I don't know if you
I was
saw
like,
that,
you're
but
I know he
standing
did.
on top of it.
yeah, I
that's what I
literally
thought.
did
It's
that.
like,
I was like,
bro,
what?
you saw him do this. You know what happens when you stand right here.
I was
but
very,
no,
very
they just shot
nervous
him.
for the Rancor pit there for a second.
That's what I thought was going to happen. It was going to be drop him into the Rancor pit and close it, and then it was going to be Adventures of Boba Fett. And what's the lady's name?
Fennec
Shot.
Shand.
Fennec Shand. Yes.
It's a very strange name. It's hard to wrap your mouth around. She will also be in the Bad Batch Clone Wars cartoon.
Okay.
Okay.
So she's going to be in both shows, I guess.
Cool.
Kind of tie people together or whatever.
Well, except like different timelines there, though, right?
Correct, yeah. One will be just post Order 66, and the other one will be now.
Yeah. Or this
Mandalorian Republic era timeline.
Yeah. I look, I don't know. I want to see what it's about. What is the is it going to be like a crime noir thing? Aren't they already kind of doing that with Andor?
Andor's a spy show.
Yeah, like spies and crime are kind of like,
Sure.
pretty close
Could
neighbors
be.
there.
Yeah, could be.
Then I don't know. What is it? Like, what is it really? Is this like Boba Hutt the Bounty Fenner anthology series? Is this,
I
do they
believe
have
it's
some specific story they want to tell? I don't know.
So Robert Rodriguez is getting brought in for that one. And he's definitely more of an action.
He's an action guy.
Yeah. Director, right? So, maybe it's Boba taking out his wrath on the galaxy. I don't know. He's got if you followed a little bit of Clone Wars with his character and, getting dropped in a Sarlacc, he might have an axe to grind.
Hey, I mean, you can reasonably see why he would go to Jabba's palace and shoot everyone up, right?
Yeah.
The last time anyone saw Boba Fett, they threw him in a Sarlacc pit. It didn't go good.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wasn't happy about the result, right? It took him
5
how many
years
between 5 years, I guess,
Yep.
between then to just get back his armor, which was his whole thing. I can imagine he's mad.
Yeah.
So, look, I could get it. I don't know that is enough for me to be like super interested in watching a whole show. But I'm here to look. I don't know that I was super interested in this show when someone gave me the pitch for The Mandalorian season 1.
Just a random bounty hunter in the universe. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? Hey, I'm willing to listen.
For sure.
They've earned that.
Absolutely earned. Well, next week will be our kind of final episode for the year. We might have a stop or two to pull out, but it's kind of our end of the year wrap up. I don't know. Be good to each other. Stay safe. Enjoy this downtime. And come back strong next year. We'll be here.